Welcome back, everybody, to the Tapping School Summit. Today, I have a very important topic and a very important person to me, especially inside the Tapping School community. Amanda Ferrat is somebody that I highly trust and recommend anytime I have someone come through my world that is going through grief, loss, trauma. She is the person I turn to. So, welcome to the Tapping School Summit, Amanda. I'm so excited you're here. I'd love for you to share with everybody a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, first, thank you for having me. So, yes, my name is Amanda Ferrat. My business name is Value Yourself Counseling. And I landed where I'm at. I call myself a very proud grad school dropout. And I know that's kind of things that wouldn't normally go together, right? Proud grad school dropout. But it's because life had a different path for me. And I dropped out of grad school because I experienced a great number of losses in a very short period of time, and they were not easy losses. They were very traumatic. I watched my dad pass, and he struggled for like an hour and a half. It was very, very traumatic. And yeah, would, pick myself right back up and go right back to grad school and never got time or permission to heal or grieve. And so that eventually imploded. And I ended up on a path of my own healing. And I was doing talk therapy, hypnosis, EMDR, all these things, and they were helping, but they weren't quite enough.
Mhm.
And so I started to do my own business as a grief and self care coach. And then you came on live onto one of my coaches' platforms and did a live tapping. And I joined in and I followed along, and I immediately was crying these great big tears. And I just felt this huge energetic shift. And it was like the weight of the world was finally lifted off my shoulders. And I felt this whole wave kind of go through my body. And I knew immediately, I was like, A, this is what I need for my own healing. And B, how do I get to do this for other people? How do I become somebody that does this? How do I give you my credit card? What do we do? What's next? And so thankfully you were launching, the next round of tapping school. And so I signed right up, but it wasn't easy to get going. And part of that is because healing isn't easy. Often what causes us the trauma or the loss or the grief or the pain has a different level of hurt than actually healing can have. Healing can sometimes hurt a little more at first, but EFT tapping has definitely been the tool that has helped me in my healing that I now use for others to help them in their healing. And I can't imagine life being any other way. Like, I would not want to be a licensed clinical social worker. I would not want to be a licensed therapist. This to me allows me, I mean, it's in the name, right? Emotional freedom techniques. I also have the freedom to build my business the way I want, freedom to help people heal the way that they need. I can meet them where they're at. I don't have to jump through insurance hoops. I don't have to do anything like that, right? But I still have my education and all my experience, both professional and lived, that I bring to the table when I help people heal.
Wow. Yeah, and like I said at the beginning, like, this is truly why you're one of my most trusted practitioners. Like, when people are in it, like, going through it, I'm like, Amanda can help you professionally and, like you said, through lived experience. And, you and I relate on a lot of levels around the grief stuff as well. I also lost my father in 2015, and tapping, I remember people saying to me, because I had tapping leading up to that, like, you're processing it differently, like, and because I could, for one, speak my truth to my father, right? Like, I could express my emotions because I felt safe, and I moved through the feelings in the moment, and when a lot of times, like, trauma is often stored emotions in the body, we didn't have an outlet for it. So, I'm curious, like, what do you see, any common threads or any common themes you see when people come to tap with you, around trauma or the work that you do?
Well, you said it, trauma gets stored in our bodies.
Mhm.
And so I found that, mine was actually causing physical disability. I have SI and lower, back problems. And we store a lot of trauma in our hips, especially we as women, right? In that kind of root and sacral chakra area. So as you can kind of see behind me, I have this little chakra chart. I now do tapping and I work through the chakras because every chakra also has the start of an affirmation statement. And in EFT, we use affirmations. So I now incorporate the chakras and those statements and help people move the trauma through and out their body. And it is a way for people to kind of really dig in, because affirmations are great. Affirmations truly work. Yet we can start to kind of gaslight or bypass things if we aren't tuning into where we really need those affirmations to be or what we need them to address. So affirmations become way more powerful if we're honest with ourselves.
Mhm.
So the work I also do helps people learn how to trust themselves. So trust where those emotions are showing up in their body, that they are feeling what they're feeling. Trust that they know how to identify what they're feeling and what it ties to. Like, how far back does it really go? And that it's okay to go that far back, that it's okay to dig in and go that deep. That those dark, shadowy, scary places really aren't so scary so long as we start to shed some light and do the work.
Mhm.
And then we kind of, once we're in there and we're doing the aligned work that we need to do, that trauma is able to break free and move through the body, and we're able to get it out. And then you get that deeper healing so that you are more well resourced, so that when something happens that normally could have triggered shutting down for a week or dissociating or completely, unable to function, you can regroup and recuperate and reintegrate back into life in a maybe more seamless or timely fashion, or with less need for self-care. I mean, self-care is essential. We all need self-care. But, there were periods of time where something could trigger me and I'd be out for a week or two.
Yeah.
Now, it might just be a few hours or a day, right? I can kind of get back up and keep going, or things don't set me off. You know, Anger comes with grief, anger comes with trauma, but anger is always a secondary emotion. There's always something under that anger. But anger is easier to express when we're in that trauma, in that pain. And now I'm a lot less quick to anger. I'm a lot more regulated. Um, I was going to Target and the overhead music would set me into tears, right? Like all these little things that were triggers that I didn't even know. I now can be like, oh, okay, I'm aware. What do I need to do to move through that? Do I need to tap? Do I need to just kind of give myself some affirmations? What do I need? Just breathe into my body, into where the trauma's trying to come up.
Mhm.
So that's the beauty of pairing EFT with the chakra work and the affirmations and helping get that trauma literally out of the body.
So you said something that I think you and I have had in a previous conversation that I really want to make sure we bring up in this summit, that tapping doesn't like eliminate hard things happening to us. It doesn't
Right.
mean like, oh, I learned to tap and now life is perfect and I never have problems and I'm just don't react to anything. It's like that's not what it means. Tapping is a tool that is, as you just said, it helps your bounce back rate be quicker. So
Right.
when something might knock you out for a week or a month or even longer, tapping can very gently walk you through it and it's so cool how fast it works, right? Like I know you experience this like in the matter of a few minutes sometimes. And especially the more you do it, the quicker you can get at it. So I just think that's a really important thing we talk about. Like tapping is not going to eliminate life problems, hard things happening, disappointments, hurt, but it will help you move through it quicker. So such an important point. One of the things that I want to also talk about is how trauma can show up in kind of sneaky ways. So, some people it's like really obvious, like I'm in bed for a week and I can't function. But other people, it's things like avoidance. Like they avoid having a conversation with someone, they avoid looking at their money, they avoid going to the doctor. Um, do you work with people in that? Like, does that show up? I know like that's my like one that I've had to
Yeah.
work on. I'm just curious if you have
Yes,
any.
because I'm an avoider as well, right? So avoidance, anger, irritability, dissociation, right? Or disconnect. There's all sorts of ways that trauma can show up, and people might not even recognize it as trauma. And I'm able to be like, hmm, check on some things here. And again, this very gentle, very compassionate kind of, I call myself, this beacon of hope and healing. I'm that lighthouse that's going to shine those light in that dark, murky places that aren't really comfortable or don't always feel safe to go. But I'm going to do it in a way that there's love and compassion and grace. And, we're not going to re traumatize or re trigger, right? You've taught us very well as practitioners, Jackie, to not do that, which I love about, the EFT method that you have taught us all. And that's very important to me, right? Is that I don't re trigger or re traumatize folks. And so, if subconscious brings something up and my clients aren't quite ready, I know how to kind of put it away or put it on a shelf for now, right? And we can come back to it when it's ready. But I am going to do some of that digging, um, and kind of help you see where some of those behaviors that have become coping mechanisms are coping mechanisms from trauma, so that you can heal and again be more resourced and ready to navigate the world in a way that helps you meet goals, live a desired life, be your authentic self. And a lot of the trauma I work around is also identity trauma. And that can be really hard. And that is also where people will be some of that avoidant or dissociative stuff because they're losing a piece of themselves or they're afraid to show a part of themselves, right? I'm queer. I didn't know I was queer. I wasn't able to come out as queer until I was in my 40s because I grew up in Montana and some other factors, right? And so there was some identity work that had to be around that. And that stuff I still kind of work on because I live in a conservative coastal town in Oregon, And so I help folks with that stuff as well, stuff that might not even register to some folks as being something that has roots in trauma or oppression, but it definitely does. And it can show up very differently for other people, right? Somebody's big T trauma might be somebody else's little T trauma or vice versa. But I don't do trauma Olympics. Trauma is trauma, and we all deserve to heal and be well resourced
Oh,
human
this
beings.
is it's just such a beautiful conversation. I think it's really important to know that you are a resource for queer, anybody that's feeling like they don't belong or being faced with some very real, like you said, trauma, whether it's big T trauma or little T trauma. And also like I don't know if the general consensus of society understands that trauma is often like healing your trauma is often the answer to the thing that you want. And
Yes.
I come from a lot of the manifestation world that talks a lot about what you desire and what you want. And even for me in business and things that I've created, it's like, yeah, I want these things. And the answer isn't just in the affirmations, isn't
Right.
just in the alignment of your chakras or whatever. It's all of those things. And
Right.
for me, whenever I am hitting a roadblock in life, whether it's business, relationship, I'm like, my practitioner knows that like, is there some kind of trauma work to do? And I'm like the most resistant client. I'm like, nope, like I don't think so. I teach this work, but I also know, wow, when you actually do it, you will be blown away at how much better you feel and the results that you see in your life. So, that-
And that's what keeps people from doing trauma work often is it's work. It is work. Healing is hard work. Healing can sometimes, like I said earlier, hurt more than the initial hurt or the initial trauma.
Mhm.
I'm wearing my new sweatshirt that I got from Alex L, choosing to heal, right? Because healing is a choice. It's a choice, and it's not always an easy choice, but it is the most rewarding choice.
Mhm.
But again, healing does come with grief. And again, that's where I love to do my work. It's where I'm experienced. Um, and again, I will hold the safest, most brave space I can for the folks I work with because I recognize just how difficult healing and trauma and grief work are.
And that alone is healing, like having someone to be your lighthouse and tell you, like, we can do this, the other side. And that honestly, the other side is your liberation because it
Yes.
is so worth it. It is the most fulfilling feeling to me whenever I do it. I'm like, I am badass. Like I do that, I can do anything. So if someone's listening to this right now and they're going through grief or they have a sense that there's probably some trauma they have to work on, what tips or what would you have to say to them?
First step is you got to start to trust yourself, right? Trust that if it's showing up, it's there to tell you something, right? So
Mhm.
trust what your body's telling you. Um, and then know that it's okay to not be okay, right? And that it might get a little bit hard before it gets easy or before it gets softer. I don't like to call it easy. I like softer. Um, and like I mean, you said it that really it's liberatory. Healing is liberatory because you get to be your authentic, sovereign self. You prioritize your needs and your desires. You are taking good care of yourself without shame or guilt. You are able to set healthy boundaries, which lead to healthy relationships. it really is beautiful. And it all starts with kind of tuning into you and learning how to kind of trust and love yourself so that you can heal.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. And that has been a theme I've heard in this summit is self-trust is a big thing. And I, as a woman, I find that that is something that got distorted over the years. And tapping had really helped me understand, like you said, what my body is telling me. Because sometimes, like, your body can tell you more than words. It's like, why do I feel anxious around this person? Like nothing
Right.
bad has happened, but there's a whole other language going on in your body that it has for you. So, where can people connect with you? Where are you online?
Yes. So Facebook and Instagram, both under Value Yourself Counseling. I have a website, valueyourselfcounseling.com. I was dabbling on TikTok, but I'm not very consistent or present on there these days. Um, so yeah, mostly just Instagram and Facebook or my website. And I do free consultations. So if people are wanting to kind of see if we'd be a good fit, I'm happy to do a free 30-minute consultation, and people can just book that through my website.
Beautiful. So if you're listening right now and you're like, okay, this spoke to me, I'm ready to take maybe just one step, just go send Amanda a DM or go send her
Yes.
a message on her website. There's never any obligation. It's always
Yeah.
just trusting yourself to take that next step. And I know you have some great resources. Is there one that you're going to share with everybody today that they can try after this call?
Yes. So I will have a tapping with your trauma and your chakras script for
Ooh.
folks to
By the way,
download and use.
love that idea. I want to try that because like the chakra system is like when it's like when one of them is out, it's like there's I think of it like a highway system, right? It's like
Yes.
there's construction going on and things aren't flowing. And I love the idea of tapping for the chakras and with the chakras. So I'm gonna go try that myself because that's brilliant. I'm so excited to try it.
Yeah. And it's really powerful. I did these little mini sessions at a energy healing event recently, and I feel really bad because I need to come with a disclaimer. Like, I make people cry instantly, but I promise they're like good tears, because people immediately are like, oh my gosh, that's what this has been. I've been carrying this around for, and like, so just that, like, in those 10 minutes of working with me, they would have this aha moment of like, oh my gosh. And like, they would walk away feeling so seen and heard. So, yes, hopefully. And again, if you get the scripts and you're like, I don't know what to do with this, that's where you book that 30-minute consult, and we can figure out, how you need to use those scripts and if working together is a fit. Because, yeah, once you tap into using the chakras, because you're right, it's like a road system. And if there's construction, or if, you know, we
Package.
here on the coast after the floods, we have entire lanes collapse. So if you've got, a rock slide or a lane that's collapsed, let's get that super highway back up and running, because when that energy is flowing, it just, your body is better, your spirit is better, your mind is better, and you just are able to, function freely. Again, emotional freedom techniques, right? It's in the name.
It is emotional freedom techniques and it is a somatic experience. So you will feel it. Like you said, you're going to feel it and be like, and that's so true. That line, like, wow, that's what that is. I still say that to this day when I tap. I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. Like, I did not realize that was connected to this. Okay, you guys go try it. You're going to love it. Thank you so much, Amanda. Go follow her over on Instagram. We'll give all the details in the show notes and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.